Today we are going to start with debate writing. So what is a debate? Debate is actually a contest between two different speakers. Okay, two different speakers or more than two different speakers in which both the speakers they are presenting their views. So one is presenting the views in favor of the motion and another is speaking against the motion. But the thing is that the person or the speaker should use such kind of argumentative statements in order to you can say make the audience believe that absolutely right. So here, due to debate or in order to give an effective debate, the speaker use various kind of data, he is using various examples, or he is also giving various type of other facts, so that in order that they should prove their point. So it is like debate and speech between two different kind of speakers. So it means that when the speaker has to participate in debate, he has, you can say, good use of vocabulary, he must have used persuasive in nature, and he must have an outline of the main points. It means if he doesn't have the main points, how can he persuade others? And after that, he addresses the audience, he presents sympathy, he presents sympathetic understanding, and accordingly, he may ask some of the questions also that may lead to the audience to think about his point. So, like we have
Ma'am,
done
your
now,
voice is not completely audible.
so Arhan, what we have done, we have also studied about speech as well as we have also studied about speech as well as article. So what is the difference between speech and article? Okay, so as we have done in article, it is of course presentation of views. Speech is also presentation of views. What was the difference? The difference was that that an article was actually not conversative in language, but the speech was conversative in language. So, what was the difference between speech and article? That the article was presentation of, you can say, ideas, but in speech we were using conversative language. Okay, we were using different type of questions, we were using different kind of expressions, so that in order to involve the audience about what you are speaking. When you are involving the audience, there is, you can say, you are finishing the gaps in between, and you are trying to be, you can say, in link with the audience. Okay, but what is debate? What is debate? In debate also you are presenting your views. The main difference between speech and debate, there is only one main difference, that in speech you can speak either the pros and cons, merits, demerits, you can give your points freely. Okay, but in debate you have to be on either side, either in favor or against the motion. It means you will not present your views on both the sides, but what you have to do, you have just to be on one side, either speak in favor or against that of, you can say, the topic given, be it any, you can say, some hot topic. Mainly debates are generally held on hot topics, the topics which are common, which are prevalent in society, so that they can give an exercise to our mind, so that the people, they can also, you can give an exercise and the people will also come to know, to think about these ideas. Okay, so coming without taking much time, because how to write on speech, now we are focusing on only debate writing today. So first of all, you will also take into account, you will use different kind of expressions. Okay, what kind of expressions are to be used, so this we are going to write today. So in your notebook, side by side, you will write down various type of expressions, what type of expressions are used. For example, yes, for example, I would like to raise a question. I would like to raise a question. How can my opponent speak like, how can my opponent can speak like, I'm, you can say, I'm amazed by the fact, I am amazed by the fact that, or I wholeheartedly oppose, I wholeheartedly oppose, I strongly reject this idea, I strongly reject this idea, or I submit that right, or in my opinion, I would like to present my views, I would like to present my views, or I would like to draw the attention, I would like to draw the attention of all towards this point. So, right, how my opponent can speak like that. So different kind of expressions you can use, but the thing is that when you are writing a debate, try to start every paragraph with a new expression. Different kind of expressions are given, and you can use these expressions in order to start your paragraph. And as I am telling you again and again, that every paragraph, that it should be starting with the new value point. Not even, it's not like that one point can be, it can be lingered on to next paragraph. You are covering just one point. The more value points will be included, the more it will be scoring from the examination point of view. And yes, one more thing, that the students who are in, most of the time the students are told that you have to underline the main points. So in debate, it is not necessary that you will underline each and every word. No, what you have to do, where you are using expression, underline it. Where you have used good vocabulary word, underline it, so that the examiner will catch attention of it and it will leave a good impact. Okay, so you have noticed it. Okay, so next after that, we are going to note down, we are going to study about the layout of debate, because we have done speech earlier also. So I am discussing it. You are well acquainted of this fact between speech as well as, you can say, debate. This is the main difference, okay, that we have done the different kind of expressions. For speech, we were not using it, okay, we were using something different, like we were using, my dear audience, I want to say that, or I want to arise your attention. We were using in that manner, but here we are countering the questions of our opponent, and we are presenting our own views, right? So now write down here, layout of debate. Okay, so layout of debate means that how you will start writing. Okay, so first of all, you will have opening. What kind of opening? As like in case of speech, you will starting with a quote or quotation. Start with any kind of quote, quotation, some data. Okay, some example can also be there in order to arise the attention of the audience. It means that you will use different kind of, you can say, examples. You can use a quote also, you can use any quotation also, in order to draw the attention of the audience and to set up your speech, that how you are going to start, what you are going to deliver through it, right? Next, afterwards, the main thing is formal address. So formal address, like in speech you were using Good morning, respected judges, worthy principal ma'am, teachers, my dear friends, all my and fellow speakers, and my dear audience. You were using in this manner, same is there. Okay, you will also use formal address in which you will formally address the guest, dignitaries present over there. Okay, dignitaries, organizers if any, organizers. Also you can do teachers, fellow speakers, and audience. So you will also use it in this manner. Next is after that, in speech you are also doing announcement of topic. So here also you will do announcement of topic. So how announcement of topic, like you were speaking in case of speech? Yes, today I have got a golden opportunity. Today I have got a golden opportunity. I need chalk. Today you have got a golden opportunity that I'm going to speak and so topic. Yes, of course. In debate also you will speak in this manner that today I have got a golden opportunity. Today I'm standing here. Today I'm going to present my views. I have got a chance. There are a number of ways to speak. How well you speak, it depends upon you. Okay. So I'm going to speak or I'm delivering my views, I'm presenting my views, but in case of debate, clearly mention that what is which opinion you are going to present, whether you are speaking in favor or against the motion. This is very, very important. And where you are writing in your debate, underline it clearly. Okay, in announcement of topic, clearly mention the topic. You will clearly mention your topic, that what you are going to speak, and take your position for or against it. It means that you will clearly mention that what you are going to speak. You are going to speak in favor of the topic or against the motion. So this is very important. And wherever you are writing a debate, underline it, mention. For example, today I am going to speak on this topic and I will speak in favor. Make it clear to the audience, right? So this is just, you can say, the starting one. The starting point is the including the introduction and all. After that, you will have development of topic. Yes, you will develop the topic. Mainly the students, they are asking, ma'am, how many paragraphs in debate? How many paragraphs in speech writing? So let me explain you, there is no hard and fast rule that how many paragraphs you will make. You can make as many paragraphs as you wish. You can make 5, you can make 6 or 7 paragraphs, you can make different paragraphs, but in an effective speech or an effective debate, it always include different kind of paragraphs, but every paragraph should start with the new value point. So what kind of paragraphs you will make? You will rebut. Rebut means you will present your counterpoints. Okay, rebut the arguments of the fellow speakers. Okay, so when you will rebut the arguments of the fellow speaker, of the opponent, okay, so how you will use, what you will use? By presenting counter arguments, you will present your arguments that my worthy opponent had said so, but this is not the case. My worthy opponent has presented this point, but actually the fact is this, the reality is this. Okay, you can present your arguments about a particular subject and Then finally, if you are presenting arguments, you have to support your arguments. How will the audience will believe what you are saying is absolutely right? It means you have something in your hand or in your pocket in order to justify actually. Yes, on the basis of this, I'm saying some facts, some data must be there. So counter arguments using some facts, data, or you can also, in this regard, you can also take some examples from daily life also. Okay, some evidences you can also use by giving up various, you can say, examples. Okay, so here ultimately you will give some evidences also, and finally you will also present your counterclaims. And counterclaims means you are negating the ideas what is being presented by your fellow speaker. You are saying no, this is not the case, but this is the reality. It means that debate is actually an eye opener. You want to tell people what the reality is. You will just make them think and justify your point. Okay, so after this, in development of topic, you will make different paragraphs like 4, 5, depending upon how many value points you have in your hand. So this is the reason why while writing a debate, you must prepare an outline of an ideas. So whenever you are going to write any writing skill, I'm always telling you that you will have to prepare a rough draft. Okay, I always tell the idea of coder. I'm coming to this point later on. Coder means, C means create your ideas, then organize them, then draft them in rough manner, then edit them if some changes are to be required, then write them in your fair, you can say, sheet. So I always tell beta, put a rough line on the side of your sheet, and there what you will do, you will use your rough ideas. Okay, you will make an idea. You can just make a list of the ideas. Yes, this is the topic, I'm going to write this. Yes, this can also be there. Now you can see whenever I'm going to start the debate, even I will ask you people also give your points. Okay, so next afterwards we are having winding up. Now when you will have winding up means now it is going to be an approaching end of your, you can say, topic. You are going to sum up your arguments. Here you will sum up your arguments, whatever you are presenting. But remember, in summing up the arguments, you are not going to repeat the same points that you have told earlier. No repetition must be there. Otherwise, it will make the speech, you can say, dull. It will make your debate, your ideas will be repeating again. The audience will not pay so much of attention. Sum up your arguments, that ultimately what is your opinion. Okay, and give your personal opinion too. Okay, you can give your personal opinion. So after that, naturally we will have the conclusion. How can we end up a debate without any conclusion? You have to conclude. So what you are going to conclude is end up with an emphatic argument. Emphatic means laying stress, lay an emphasis, lay some stress upon the point. Okay, and with an emphatic. Emphatic means laying stress. Emphatic statement of your opinion. Lay an emphatic stress of your opinion, okay, or about the motion. And you can here also express a hope, a warning, or an appeal. Okay, so you can, means I told you earlier that a debate is an eye opener. Okay, you are telling the audience, you are counteracting them with the exact situation. You are telling what exactly is happening, and now you have to take the decision. Now ultimately, if you are addressing the audience, if you are announcing your topic, if you are formally addressing them, then how can a debate or a speech be ending without formal thanks? At the end, formal thanks End your debate with formal thanks. Don't forget to formally thank the audience. Right? Don't forget to formally thank the audience. Right? So for example, thanks for being a patient listener. Thanks for lending your ears. Okay? So this is the main layout of debate. Opening, formal address, announcement of topic. Here, take your position. For or against the motion is important. Development of topic like you were doing in case of speech. But here, you will use the different kind of expressions that I have told you earlier. Those expressions are very important. Then winding up, then conclusion and formal thanks. Okay. So, write down the question for you today. Write down. I'm going to rub the upper part, okay, so that you can note down the question. Assistance is necessary. Assistance is necessary for students. Okay, that these days there are number of, you can say, tuition centers, they are mushrooming, but or keeping in mind this point, number of tuition centers are being set up. Okay, number of tuition centers are being set up. So what you have to do, you have to just present your views that whether private tuitions justify presenting your views whether tuitions being necessary evil, or naturally, whether I have written, it means you have to present, you have to speak in favor or against the topic. So what is there? So it means that the tuitions being necessary. Well, are tuitions so important for children? Some will justify, yes, of course, they are important because some of the points they are not being cleared in the class. Some student-teacher ratio is more, that individual attention is not being paid. There are a number of points. Okay, but today we are going to do how? We are going to speak against it, that yes, tuitions are not so necessary for the development of a child. How? Because in order to justify, number of points can be there. So our concern today is that we are going to speak against this, that tuitions being necessary, well, that tuitions are not so important for children because it ultimately render the students helpless. But how? Now I'm going to give an exercise to your mind. Now again I'm following the same technique, that is coda. Create your ideas, okay, then organize, okay, now D for draft them, now E for edit, and then we will R for write in the end. So here we are creating the ideas, okay, creating the ideas. Now raise up your hands that how you can say that tuitions not being a necessary evil. that tuitions are not so important? Yes, raise up your hand. Anybody can tell me? Yes, Bisamjot. Tanya.
Because
Hmm.
some children didn't pay so attention in their schools because they think that they can clarify all their doubts in the tuitions.
Okay. Nahin, I'm saying
Tuitions.
that why they are not so important. You're going on the other side. This is also very important. Students sometimes they confuse in favor or against. Here we are going against the motion that they are not so necessary. Why? What are the cons? What are the demerits of tuitions? Yes, Saksham Grover. Yes, Grover. Yes, Saksham.
Students become reckless towards the school.
They become
Reckless.
reckless towards school, okay? Or they turn out to be mentally tired, or mentally stressed. Any other point?
Because it wastes a lot of time because all those things are
Consume lot
taught in
of
school
time.
also.
Consume lot of time. Next, any other
They
point?
become
Students become
habitual to
dependent
spoon
upon
feeding.
tuitions.
What?
They become
Students
habitual to
become
spoon feeding.
Okay, right. So now taking much time, it is of course a burden upon the parents. Burden upon the parents too. Side by side, I'm discussing the points. So first of all, let us start with the introduction. First of all, that how we are going to start it. Okay. So now in this case, so first of all, we will start. Okay, in earlier days. Okay, tuition was not necessary as education was not so emphasized during these days. Of course, there was less competition with the increase of population. For against every single vacancy, there are a number of candidates who are appearing in interviews. So what it demands? It demands competency on the part of the individuals. It demands that the individual should be well backed up with their knowledge. Okay, they must have some, you can say, they must have comprehensive knowledge of the subject. Okay, because of this, what is there? There is cutthroat competition. Cutthroat means competition has increased, and because of which, because of the increasing of the literacy rate, the number of persons, or there is increase in competition, and the persons there who are appearing in interviews, it has also increased. And this is the reason, in order to be competent, in order to be well equipped with the knowledge, with the recent knowledge, the students, they are forced to be, you can say, they are forced to score better and higher marks, because for every, you can say, for every vacancy there is merit list to be formulated. Okay, on the basis of which they are scored and on the basis of which they are given jobs. Okay, so because money minded society, there is change in the scenario. Okay, that is the reason the students, they are opting for tuition. Sometimes they are forced by their parents, but sometimes out of their own willingness, what they are doing, they are joining the tuitions. So tuitions have turned out to be an inevitable part these days. Every child, whether intelligent or weak student or an average student, they prefer to go on tuition rather than relying upon the study being carried out at the school. But it has its pros and cons. Okay, now coming up to this point, that what kind of pros and cons it have. First of all, it is a burden upon the parents. Not all the parents can afford tuitions. Sometimes even the poor parents, they are forced by their children, because their friends, they are joining the tuitions, they also have to join the tuitions. So that's why what is happening, it is they have to pay huge amount of, you can say, they have to pay huge amount of money. Parents, they also have to pay, you can say, they have to fulfill the packages. Okay, various, you can say, packages are available for course preparation. They have to undergo through this process also. This is the reason that it is a financial burden upon the parents. Okay, moreover, these tuitions, they also make the students stereotype. Stereotype means, for example, they are given ready-made material, they are given notes, ready-made material, because of which the students, they are just giving stereotype answers. Okay, because they don't use their own mind. This is of course another reason what happened. This is the reality. Okay, then afterwards, research also shows that the students, they sometimes they don't study properly. They don't study properly. They don't study properly in school because the students who have completed their syllabus beforehand on tuitions, they put a spoke. Okay, they put a spoke in the teaching of, they put a spoke means they hamper, they put a spoke in the wheel of teacher, means they are not letting the teacher to do the work seriously. And sometimes whatever or how much competent the teacher is, the result is not, or the desired result or the desired target of, you can say, scores is not, you can say, approached, right? Next, this also turn or makes the students mentally tired and stressed. How? Because some additional assignments, additional work was also given, or it is also going to be given at the tuitions. This makes the students more, you can say, engrossed in their studies. They are always busy in completing the assignments. Because of this reason, they are not have any time left, or they don't have any time, any spare time to enjoy the actual life. So this also makes them mentally tired. Okay, so because of this, there is not, you can say, no development of personality. How? Because students are so, you can say, tired that they are not able to study. Then what is happening? They are not participating in co-curricular or extracurricular activities, because of which there is one, you can say, phase of their personality is underdeveloped. But ultimately interviews, the personality is also to be checked. And how it is developed? When you have confidence, when you have your confidence level built up. And how it is built up? When you participate in activities. More time is consumed at tuitions. So sometimes also the students, they consider their tuition teachers as a walking dictionary. Okay, how walking dictionary? They, what they consider or they expect that whatever the questions or the, you can say, assignments are given at school, they must get ready-made answers. This also make them mentally lazy. They turn out to be mentally lazy. Moreover, there is one another important point, that is mindset of society. A society has made up this mind that only good scores can be, you can say, good scores can be achieved by going to tuitions. But actually this is not the case. Many examples are there. Many students who are working hard, who are, you can say, achieving good marks, good scores. How they are doing? They are self-study. Even teachers are, you can say, available in the schools to clear their doubts. The same syllabus they are studying at school, the same is being repeated at tuitions. It means that double amount of time, or time is not proportionate to that of studies, because of which what is happening? Lowering down of scores. Of course, some students, they take wise as well as, you can say, wise use of their tuitions, but it is not with all the students. Lot of time is wasted on the tuitions. Okay, so we will conclude, we will wind up. What is your opinion? So tuitions, they have turned out to be a necessary evil, but we have to change the set criteria. We have to change the mindset of the society. It is not, you can say, it is not, you can say, they should not, you can say, rely completely on tuitions. But if they will give an exercise to their minds, prepare their notes on their own, then this, you can say, this evil can be removed from the society. Okay, so with this, the topic of the debate is complete.